I mean, there's other worries besides the offensive line, but theirs is not stellar. It's below average, and, the proof is there. Moving to the Bears, though, statistically, they are better now, point differential wise, are better than the Bills and have the same record as the Bills. So that raises the question: are the Bears better than the Bills currently?
Not a chance. The only reason the Bears are 4-1, and I'm sure you would agree with this, is a lot of luck because they were going to
I
lose
don't
that game
believe in
against the
luck.
Falcons.
I only believe in skill.
Right, but and also if you look at who the Bears have played, they played nobody good. Like nobody at all that you're sitting there thinking, "Oh, they could win the
That's a
Super
lie.
Bowl."
That's a lie.
Who have they played that you could see winning the Super Bowl?
There's still some Brady magic left to conjure up with Roger Goodell.
But okay, but so you're saying you could reasonably see Tampa Bay winning the Super Bowl.
Correct.
Okay. And again, that was a good defensive effort. You're against the team that was down several players. Chris Godwin
As
was
were the
out.
Bears.
Big deal. Who did they have out?
They had like two offensive linemen hurt. They had some guys get hurt mid game that didn't play the whole game. So yeah, there's that.
Okay, but you don't have the number one receiver out. And so that's why there
Well,
was offensive struggles there.
neither did the Buccaneers.
Yes, Chris Godwin is their number one receiver, and he was out.
Incorrect. Mike Evans is their
Not even
number one
close.
receiver.
You can ask anybody that knows anything about football, and Mike Evans is not their number one receiver. He's their
Hold
number
on,
one receiver in the red zone.
let me ask myself, is Mike Evans their number one receiver? Myself says yes.
Well, the problem with that is I said it's anybody that knows anything about football. So,
Really, because last I checked, I do know stuff about football. An eerie silence proves that I am correct.
I'm not going to continue to argue with you, but is Mike Evans does he get a lot of targets, especially in the red zone? Yeah. But if you look at how many catches he has compared with how many targets, he doesn't get that many targets and he doesn't get that many yards. So to me, he can get as many touchdowns as you want, but that doesn't make somebody the number one receiver.
Well, okay, sure. Take it any way you want. But regardless, okay, yeah, you were down Chris Godwin. Yeah, I know that's a factor. But simply just having Chris Godwin, are they going to score 19 more points?
No, but if you think about this too, the Buccaneers had several people on defense that were out, including a guy that I believe they had out, a guy that last year led the league in sacks. So
Who's that?
I don't know his name. I just remember seeing that he was out before the game. You expect me to know all this
Well,
stuff?
well, player, this mystery ghost player.
Let's just give
I've
some.
never.
Let's give some context to our listeners. I was called up and asked to do this bit of the podcast with absolutely no information in front of me, and he's expecting me to know some guy on Tampa Bay from last year when Tampa Bay was god awful. How am I supposed to know
See,
this linebacker from
see
Tampa
if
Bay?
see if people peg you as a liar, though, they may not believe I just called you up right before the show, which I'm not confirming or denying.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. That's what happened. So I have no information in front of me. So whatever you get,
I'm gonna look at the injuries right now. I'm gonna look at the injuries right now. As of the game, it has no injuries
for Tampa Bay. Well, now,
on
duh.
defense. As of the game
Yeah,
time,
because they're
as
on
of the
injured
game,
reserve.
it would have had that.
No, they only got people that are on injured reserve.
Well, here's the depth chart. Which, if you look at the depth chart, according to ESPN, Mike Evans is the number one receiver.
According to what? Like,
ESPN
yeah, I know, but
depth
how
chart. Oh, so they're missing Vita Vea.
that ain't the guy I was talking about. But that I'm sure that's a big part of their defense. I mean,
Jack
they signed him.
Tichy.
Let's
Are you
see.
thinking?
I believe it's Shaquille Barrett is the guy I'm talking about.
He's not listed as hurt or on the injured reserve. Well, anyway, that's not the whole point
See,
here.
this is what you get when I have zero notice as far as that I'm about
But
to
see,
be doing a podcast.
that's what makes it better. I'm pretty sure I heard you say yourself. It's best when it's just off the top of my head.
That has never been said. That is 100% never been said. And
I've
you can
heard it.
take that to the bank.
Somebody said it. I don't know who. Somebody said it. Well, anyway, I think that the Bears are misrepresented, as Vito mentioned in our last segment. They're 4-1. They're 4-1. I don't care who you've beat, who you've lost to. If you are 4-1, you have 4 wins and 1 loss.
Okay, and that makes no sense whatsoever. The Cleveland Browns are 4-1.
Dilly dilly.
So are you saying the
Dilly
Cleveland
dilly.
Browns are just all of a sudden a top contender?
I didn't say they were a top contender, but I hear everybody say, "Oh, the Bears are so horrible,"
They're
but
okay.
yet they're
They're
4.
not horrible, but they are not what you would look if somebody said a team was 4-1, you would not think the Bears. And I believe that you would probably
No,
believe
I
that
would
too.
think the Chiefs. I would think the Chiefs.
Exactly. You think of somebody that's probably a top 5 team. I'm not saying the Bears are bad or that they won't make the playoffs. I'm saying I don't think they're good enough to be a real contender.
I don't know. When the Chiefs and Bears meet in the Super Bowl, it'll
But
be all.
you cannot reasonably say if they play the Seahawks or if they play the Packers that they're going to beat them in the playoffs. So you're just
The Bears will beat the Packers at least one time this year in the
no,
regular season.
no. You
Yes.
have this
Yes.
on record. At the end of this NFL season, we will have a review show.
Yes.
And if the Bears beat the Packers, then I will do something crazy on the podcast. If they can beat them
Really,
either
will you
time.
eat a ghost pepper hot sauce chip?
Maybe. But when you look at the points differential, and I don't know what you were really if you were looking at the points differential earlier, but the Bears have outscored their opponents by 5. The Packers have outscored theirs by 51.
Yes, I understand that. But let's put this into context. I talked about this with Vito too, but apparently I'd like to bring it back up. The Bears, I know they haven't played a ton of amazing teams through 5 weeks. I would say the Colts are above average. I would say the Buccaneers are, a respectable group, a team that you never know could make it to the Super Bowl because it's Tom Brady and Roger Goodell still loves Tom Brady. But I know the Bears, they played the Lions and the Giants and teams, the Falcons, teams like that haven't been very good. But look at the Packers. The Packers have also played the Falcons. They have played the 1-win Lions and the 1-win Vikings. They have played the Saints, who are barely 3-2, who have crawled to 3-2 and have crawled through Taysom Hill's rushing touchdown against the Chargers to be 3-2.
Yeah, but that's not what you were saying when you were
And they
talking
beat
about
them
the
by
Raiders.
7.
That's not what you were
They
saying
beat
when you
them
were talking
by
about the
7.
Raiders. You were talking about how the Saints are. Oh no, they're good. They're good. And the Pack again.
They're not the horrible team, but I'm not even saying. I would say the Buccaneers are a better team than the Saints right now.
But let me ask you this: the Packers have outscored their opponents by 51, and only in one of those games have they had their best offensive weapon. Yeah, they still have Aaron Jones, but Devontae Adams is probably a top 5 receiver, and they haven't had him more than a game and like a quarter. So, and they're still
I
outscoring people
yeah.
by 51. So it doesn't really matter who they're
No,
playing if you can still put up that many points with practically no receivers.
it's a good point. And once again, I'm not saying that they're a bad team. They're probably, the top team, but their sample size has been very small this year. And to be honest, my take is that they don't have that difficult of a schedule. They have a pretty easy schedule.
That all I'm saying about the Packers and the Bears is it's a very bad matchup for the Bears. I don't think that their defense is good enough to stop the Packers enough for their offense to keep up. I don't think that now on any given Sunday that could be wrong, but I don't think if they play 10 times that the Bears are winning more than maybe 2 out of 10.
I see. I don't like that. Maybe the Packers would win like 6 out of 10, but the Bears would hold their own in most games they play against them, and they have. It's one of those things where no matter who it is on any given year, if a team has a rivalry or they play, their divisional rivals, it seems like no matter how good one is, they might come out to win, but it's always going to be a hard fought game because teams are rivals.
So
Even though
if we go back to the beginning of last year, it was the first game that Aaron Rodgers had played with a new coach, so their offense was not clicking at all. And I believe they only scored
well,
10
see, the Bears
points.
are bad.
They scored,
The Bears are
but they
bad.
have the almost the exact same defense, is what I'm talking about, and almost the exact same
No,
offense.
that's false. The offense is much different. I'll tell you why.
What's changed?
Nick Foles is not the long term answer. One thing that he does have though, he has the ability to call out Matt Nagy for bad play calling. Trubisky wouldn't do that. Nick Foles is like, look, Nagy, I'm not going to run these crap plays that you've drawn up. We're going to do it this way. And you can tell once he talks Nagy's ear off on the sideline, they'll go down and pull off a 65-yard drive. That's what I'm saying. He holds Nagy accountable as the quarterback, and he's much smarter. He's much better under pressure, and he shows absolutely zero emotion. He's a stone cold killer, Super Bowl MVP. I'm telling you, he is not Mitch Trubisky, and he is a huge difference maker for that offense.
Again, I said what changed. It's still a trash quarterback, so I mean.
I told you what changed. It's the mental side of the game. And
But
Nick
that doesn't
Foles'
change the
mental
fact that they scored
ability.
3 points. I don't care what quarterback you throw in there. The Bears' offense is bad unless they get a top quarterback, and they don't have that. No, they don't have a good running back. They don't have enough quality receivers. They have a great receiver in Allen Robinson. They don't have very good tight ends.
I don't know. Jimmy Graham pulled off a Odell-esque catch
Do you
last
know how
week.
many guys can
That
catch a ball one-handed? Thousands.
you know
Thousands.
it was pretty impressive. How many can do it in a professional football game?
Thousands. If you put
Few.
No, no. A one-handed catch is not very difficult. With the size of these guys' hands, it's not difficult whatsoever. You look at a one-handed catch and like, oh, it's not that hard. You can go to any high school team, throw a ball to a high school receiver, and they will be able to catch it 9 times out of 10 one-handed.
Okay, excellent. Let's move on real quick so we don't run out of time here. Dak Prescott and Cowboys. I mean, I can't help but feel bad for Dak Prescott because that's just a gruesome injury. But I mean, the Cowboys are. Okay, you have to give me this at least. The Bears are better than the Cowboys.
I think I'd say about 31 teams are better than the Cowboys.
Wow, that is a strong statement. Mostly because they have just awful coaching. I mean, there's a reason Mike McCarthy got fired in Green Bay, and I don't know why they kept Jason Garrett for all those years. Honestly, at this point, it would just only make sense, not only because it's the Cowboys, also because it's 2020, for them to fire Mike McCarthy mid-season and rehire Bill O'Brien with offensive coordinator Dan Quinn.
Wow. Wow. Strong, strong words. There's really,
Hey,
I mean, there's.
they got the Red Rocket. What do they call him? The Red Shotgun, Red Rocket, Andy Dalton. What do they call him?
I'm not entirely sure what they call him because he's not very good. All I know is that in that division, I still wouldn't be surprised if they made the playoffs. But they're not good, and they'll not win a game in the playoffs. You can book that. There's no way they're beating any. I mean, I don't think they're better than like the Lions. I don't think they're better than anybody from the NFC West. I mean,
No.
I don't think they're better than the Eagles. You know,
Wow, that is whoa. That's
they're
low.
barely
Honestly.
better than the Giants. I mean, they
Yeah.
just beat them
I
by
mean, when the
3.
Giants are 0 and when the Giants are 0 and 5 and still in contention, that is saying words about that division. I am petitioning officially right now that if teams do not win a certain number of games, that they should not be allowed into the playoffs. So if nobody from that division wins more than 6 games, I vote none of them should be allowed in the playoffs and they go with the next best team. Would you support that petition?
No, because I like the way that the NFL does their playoffs. But at the same time, I wouldn't think they would deserve to be in the playoffs. But I mean, you gotta at least give them a shot.
Yeah, well, that shot will be poorly taken, and it'll be like the Danny Green 3-pointer in Game 5.
Well, I mean, hey, you know what? You know what? That was also a conspiracy. The NBA wanted one more game so they can grab some revenue, and so they decided they're
Yeah.
like,
Well,
well,
if they wanted to go maximum, they would have just gone to Game 7.
yeah, but they couldn't stop the Lakers from blowing them out there. I mean, the Heat had no energy, so they couldn't use the refs to their advantage. But because
Correct. Okay,
as was
go ahead.
said in that game 5, the refs messed up 2 calls in the last 2 minutes of the game. So you're telling me there's not a conspiracy somewhere?
Oh, there is. There always is. Closing remarks, though. My closing remark for this week: Justin Herbert will be career-wise the best quarterback in his class.
My closing remark. That's hilarious. I don't know if you remember a guy by the name of like Marcus Mariota had something similar to this. Was great. Start coming out of the gate. And what's he doing right now? Well, I don't know. I don't even know what team he plays for. I think he plays for the Raiders.
I'm going to take this a step further. Justin Herbert will be the next Tom Brady.
Wow.
And I'll tell you why. I will tell you why. Because he is, while not quite as underestimated as Brady was, he got put in only because Tyrod Taylor blew up his lung or something. He got punctured or whatever, and it deflated like a balloon. So Justin Herbert got put in. Only reason Tom Brady got put in was, I believe, the starting quarterback at the time also had an injury, and they were forced to put in Tom Brady. And look what has resulted. If they, they weren't going to put him in unless Tyrod Taylor got hurt or was absolutely awful. They are finding that Justin Herbert is an absolute gem, and the Dolphins should have absolutely drafted Justin Herbert over Tua
So you're
Tagovailoa.
talking. Let's just get this take. We need to get this exactly right. So you're saying a guy that is 0-4 as a starter is going to be the next Tom Brady.
Correct.
He
Correct.
squandered huge leads.
That's
How is
not
it
his
not his
fault.
fault?
That
No,
was
no. He
absolutely
failed to score when it counted most. They had a drive going down the field in overtime as well. Fourth down, didn't get it. How is that not his fault?
this was absolutely not his
They
fault.
scored
The
7 points in the
loss
second
against
half.
the Saints,
7. How is that not his fault?
this could be attributed to many, many things. He doesn't. The play calling was bad in the second half, and I'm going to go and say that. He was not making bad decisions. They were they had like 3 starting offensive linemen hurt. What else do we need to put here? Keenan Allen was hurt in the second half. He has Austin Eckler's hurt. He's been hurt. He's got like less to work with when the Bears did. And I would so take him on the Bears over anybody. I would take him over Tua Tagovailoa and Joe Burrow, who got a whopping 7 points, I believe, for our league in fantasy last week.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. Tua has never played, so I don't think either of us can say, he's going to be good, he's going to be bad. I mean, we don't know. We haven't seen him play. But what I will say is,
well, and here's a counter. Here's another counter. The offense for the Chargers, despite being extremely banged up already this year, they have scored at least 16 points in each of their games, and they've scored less than 21 times when they beat the Bengals the opening game of the year. They scored 31 against the Buccaneers, 27 against the Saints. Those numbers should be good enough to win, but unfortunately, they have a Cody Parkey-like kicker who just can't seem to make. They should have won that game because of that extra point, and you take that to the bank.
right. But when you look at, and you can blame kickers all you want, but this is 2 weeks in a row that they've had big leads and squandered it. They were up 24-7 last week against Tampa Bay, and you can't blame all of that on, on saying, well, it's just the quarterback's fault. But that's the same exact kind of lead they had this week against New Orleans, and completely blew it. You scored 7 points in the
Well,
entire second half. And the only reason you even scored was because you threw a little screen pass and a guy went 72 yards. So how are you going to say that this guy is so great when he's doing nothing in the second half? He's not closing out games. He's not getting wins. He's obviously not a winner if he's 0-4 so far.
look, I just know all, and you question my ability to perceive the greatnesses of players. This is an 0-4 player right now that next year will start out his season 4-0. It's not this year, but it's the future. Did Tom Brady become the GOAT in one
Yeah,
night?
pretty much.
No. He
He won
solicited
the Super
Roger.
Bowl the first
He
year he
solic- he
started, so I
solic-
mean, there is that.
he sol- he solicited Roger Goodell's help, much like Justin Herbert will eventually, and he'll become the next Tom Brady, playing till he's 47 years
So
old. You can
so they're
take
gonna
that
they're
to
gonna
the
they're
bank,
gonna
and
win the
that's
Super Bowl
all I've
this
got to
year
say.
then, because
Out of time.
I mean, if he's the next Tom Brady, he
No,
should.
no, because he did because he's got to get a healthy team first. So once that healthy team comes back for 8 games or more, which will be next year, they will win the Super Bowl next year. I'm telling you, 2020. Well, what will it be? 2021 Super Bowl champs. That it's going to be the Chargers. Closing remarks. Out of time. Out of time. Thank you, Isaac.